What does publishing feel like after 10 plus books? What's changed? What's stayed the same? What have I learned and what would I do differently looking back? The Secret Gift comes out January 26, 2024. So I thought we'd take a minute to sit down and compare what it feels like now compared to my first book that I ever published. It's the only thing I know for sure. I started writing Evelyn's Number way back in December 2016, right after I was laid off from my job. And I'm recording this in December 2023, so that makes it exactly 7 years of being an indie author, which is wild. As I was preparing for this video, trying to figure out how I feel about publishing compared to the first book, my mind goes to, you know, those candles that are like a mixture of scents where it's like 30% vanilla, 30% cinnamon, I don't know. But I feel like for my first book, it was like 15% hope and then like 85% anxiety and stress and fear of it just not working out and just all the other uncomfortable fears. Versus this time around, it feels like it's more, I don't know, 50% hopeful and like 50% confidence. And I don't mean confidence in the way of like, oh, I'm gonna be a bestseller, but more like confident that I know my readers are gonna love it and that no matter what happens, I know that I'll be able to keep doing this because I have enough of a track record to know that whether it goes well or doesn't go well, I can keep going. Before I break down what's the same, what's changed, what I've learned, I thought we should try to figure out what the heck book this actually is for me. The Secret Curse is the book that's coming out. This is, I know it's the third book I've written since becoming a mom, and I also know it's the third book in the Queen's Rise series, but what number is it actually? Let's find out. So there's Evelyn's Number, Pearl's Number, and then The Confident Corgi, my one and only children's book. Then I had The Stolen Kingdom, The Ginny Key, The Cursed Hunter, The Enchanted Crown, and yes, technically this fantasy series does have a hardcover edition and also an original cover edition, but we're only going to count those once, so that's 4 books in that series. Then there's The Secret Gift, The Secret Shadow, and now The Secret Curse. Okay, that's 10 total. Those are my fiction books, sort of, but then there's also the collector's edition. We got to count that. And then I also wrote and published a marketing series with my co-author, Mandy Lynn, and so she wrote these 3, but I wrote these 2, so we're going to count those. Plus, I did publish my novel planner notebook, and it has 2 covers, but it's really the same content inside. It's just 2 different cover versions, so we're going to count that as 1. Sometimes in the past, I also counted my audiobook, but the more that I think about that, I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like that one really counts because it was the same book, just in a different format. You know what I mean? Oh, and I should also give an honorable mention to the first edition of The Secret Gift, which was very different from the edition that's out now. If you can't tell, it's a little bit messy. But if we don't count the audiobook, since that wasn't print and I didn't do like a big release for that, then that would make The Secret Curse my 15th published book, coming out this January. That's not confusing at all. The point is, I have a lot of books out. Let's talk about what's the same this time around as it was the very first time that I published. And I think it's kind of obvious, honestly. The first thing is probably the nerves and the self-doubt. The nerves are always there to some extent, for sure. Although I will say that they're not as bad as they used to be. But that said, there's still that one question that always is in the back of my mind that's like, what if they don't like it? What are they gonna think of this story? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that ever quite goes away. And it doesn't seem to matter how many times I've done it before or how awesome my beta readers are being like, I love this story, because that does help, don't get me wrong. But there's still that wonder in the back of my mind all the way up until reviews start coming in, which is another reason, by the way, that I absolutely love reviews. Besides the fact that they just help a book in general, they also help me know, okay, it's okay, they like the story. So I don't know if that's ever gonna change. Another thing that I wrote down that I don't think is ever gonna change is the desire for the book to make it whatever that means. And it's just sort of undefined thing that honestly changes. Like, I realized over time that it's almost like it's a moving target. So at first it was 100 book sales, then it was 1,000, then it was 10,000, and so on. And the same thing with reviews, where it's like, okay, I want 100 reviews, 150, 200, 500, and now my goal is like 1,000 reviews on a single book. It's a moving target. It just, like, whatever you think success is and making it is, it keeps moving as you get closer to it. You know what I mean? While it's good to have goals, this really takes away from how far we've come. So while the desire to make it, again, whatever that means, is probably always going to be there in some way, shape, or form, I think what's changed for me is that I'm a little bit more aware of that. And while I still care about reviews and sales, because let's be real, I think we always will as authors, those are really exciting things, but I've learned throughout publishing that other people's choices, whether it's to buy or review or whatever, is entirely out of my hands. And if I worry about things that are out of my control, that is a surefire way to be stressed and unhappy. So I'm not saying I'm perfect at this whatsoever, but I will say that one thing that has changed over time and that I'm working on continuing to change is focusing on what is in my control, such as my newsletter or social media or writing the next book. Another thing that's obviously changed is that there are less unknowns, right? Because after 7 years of doing this, I've gotten a sense of what my timeline looks like and how long each stage takes me and what the different publishing companies are like to work with. And I've learned that every single release, something goes wrong, and that's normal. And I just kind of take it in stride now. So things like that. And another thing, speaking of, that's changed is I have learned to trust my intuition a lot more as far as publishing and my story itself. Instead of like second guessing and constantly wondering on the publishing side, is this the right way? I think I've come to fully understand that there's no such thing as the right way, and just sort of take everything lightly, I guess, and just not stress about if it's gonna work or not, and kind of let go of that pressure. And in a similar way for the story, I don't feel like I'm second guessing my stories as much either, because I am now writing what I know that I want and what I know my readers want from me. And that feels really, really good. I don't know though if that's this book in particular, because I've definitely had books where I feel that way and books where I don't. And it doesn't seem to be like a, steadily ascending thing. It seems more like a waveline sort of feeling. But with this particular book, I know I feel that way because my beta readers have loved the book so much and my critique partners. And I don't know. I feel such a confidence about this particular book that I don't think I've ever had it to this level before. And that's kind of cool too. Another huge change, and more recent obviously, is that I've had to slow down quite a bit because of being a mom. In the last 2 years, I've had to just take everything slower. And it's actually been cool how that has made me kind of savor each book release and the writing experience and publishing experience more. I'll be honest with you, in the beginning of my publishing career, I definitely got caught up in the whole rapid release strategy, which is, to publish as fast as you can. Some people say it has to be within a few weeks, some people within a few months. I was aiming for within 3 months, and that immediately was like, no, that's not working for me. And then I tried to do every 6 months, and that even was still pushing it. So with this series in particular, I have definitely slowed down, and it's actually made me have more of a focus on the craft and the storytelling in a really cool way. I feel like slowing down has made me enjoy this a lot more, which is kind of sad for the little Stolen Kingdom series. But experience is really the only way we learn. So what have I learned and what would I do differently? And what are my overall feelings at this point in publishing after 7 years and 15 books? This first one that I wrote down, it's a little bit cheesy, I'm aware, but I have to say it because I am just so grateful that I can still be doing this full time, if you can call working 3 hours a day during naps full time, while I also mom full time and try to do YouTube videos and all that. But honestly, it could have gone another way. And the truth is, the first 2 years were not so great. And that's normal, by the way. An average business takes at least 2 years to get off the ground. And so I knew that going into it. And I've talked about this before where I was like, but I want to be different. And I wasn't. My first 2 years, I honestly didn't make much money for my books whatsoever. And the increase in sales was, in my opinion, very slow. I'll link my whole story about how I got laid off and got into writing below. But like I said, this is my 7th year in publishing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It wasn't until the last few years that my hard work really started paying off. I had somebody ask me on social media, they were like, how long did it take you? And when I said 7 years, it was just like mind blown. And you could tell that was not the answer they wanted. They wanted the overnight success story. And honestly, those just aren't real. Those don't exist. A big part of my growth and my success continuing to grow is the growth of my backlist books, meaning having a bunch of books that readers can read through once they find me and they can go through and read the others. Oh my gosh. Another thing that I wrote down that I'm feeling as I'm getting ready to publish this book is that I wish I was writing standalones, kind of. Not really, but kind of. But how do I say this? Like, I love my series, but if we're being super honest, I love this book the most. And it's frustrating to me that to get to this book, you have to read books 1 and 2. And I'm not saying that they're bad. Like, I'm actually very proud of those books, so awesome. But I just wish you could start here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see so many series that are series of standalones where you can start any book whatsoever. Yeah, it's just, it kind of hurts to know book 3 is never, ever, ever gonna sell as much as book 1, obviously. So less people are gonna read this book, and I love this book. So that kind of bums me out. And honestly, going into the future, that is one of the main reasons that I think I'm gonna try to write a standalone series. I still wanna write a series. I love the connection. I love that the world is the same and the characters are the same, but I wanna write a series of standalones so that you can come into the series at any point, if that makes sense. The last thing that I learned, and I wanted to read this because I want to say it exactly like this, is that I'm putting less pressure on the book to be a breakout success. I don't know why I thought each book would be the one, again, whatever that means. I don't know if I even ever quantified it, but subconsciously with each book release, I wanted to have thousands upon thousands of sales. And, you know, don't we all? That would be amazing. But first of all, authors who do that have a huge publishing house behind them that has this huge platform they've built and tons of connections in the industry and a huge budget and so much knowledge about what sells, versus most of us starting out, we do not have anything close to that. So it makes complete sense that our first books or even second or third books don't sell millions, and that's an unfair expectation to put on ourselves. But I wrote this down and I want to read this word for word because this is like the biggest takeaway in this whole video, is that if you don't hit certain milestones right away, remember that there's no deadline on when your book has to succeed. Some authors take off on book 20, like I believe The Cruel Prince by Holly Black was her 20th book, or at least that's what I saw on Instagram once. And I heard that Colleen Hoover ended up blowing up on TikTok because of a backlist book, aka a book that she had had out for a long time. Or we could even use Rebecca Yarros as an example, who, as far as I could tell, I was trying to count, and I think I counted at least 25 other books by her online that she wrote before Fourth Wing. So that's something, like I said, I'm still learning not to do this because I think it's a little bit subconscious and I'm not always aware of the pressure that I'm putting on a book to succeed, but I'm trying really hard to remind myself not to put pressure on it. Because like I said, in a series where you have to read through in order, a book 3 is obviously never gonna outsell a book 1. That makes sense. So I have to take the pressure off. In the end, my writing has grown so much, it's insane. Like, I kind of want to look back at book 1 and compare it to my most recent published book and just see how much my writing has changed. And that's what matters, honestly, because when my books take off, and I'm saying when, not if, but when my books take off, it will be because I put in the hard work and all the time that was necessary to get to that place. Because again, nothing is an overnight success. Looking back, I honestly wouldn't change much because I needed to make those mistakes to learn and get to where I am today. Those mistakes were honestly some of my best teachers. Ultimately, I think that's the best advice I can leave you with, is don't be afraid to make mistakes. Believe it or not, mistakes are going to propel you towards success faster than anything else.